we decided to buy a house because obviously it was a really good investment. And everything changed because the person that I spoke with and they helped me to find the house didn't care about just the house and the transactional value of the house, but it really showed me how it was important for him to promote this structure, this layer of people that help each other, and they try to make you feel that you have nothing to worry about. But then after I understood that it's a general feeling of the Limassolian population, I think they deep down know that, this diversity, it's a added value, not just monetary, but in terms of curiosity and ability to understand different people. And that's very interesting.
Because I like swimming. And so I really love, swimming like back and forth in the Ladies Mile. So
Ladies Mile. So
yes.
This is your favorite spot.
I pointed out around here.
Okay.
So weekdays I go just there and I start swimming. Then I go for a coffee in one of those beautiful cafes. I lay down. I read. I love reading. So it's just my time. It's like an hour of my time again. Of taking in all the beauty around me.
It led me to absorb some nuances of some words. For example, Daxi. Very easy, very overused, but it's very funny how it changes. So it could be like, Daxi, with the A on front that it gives you the glimpse of like, yeah, I know, let's move on. Or Daxi, like, yeah, you're right, I didn't understand. Or, Daxi, like, I know. It's fun. So all these
you learned all the nuances.
The only word that I love is like Sagapo.
It's a
like
very
Sagapo.
important one. Okay. Well, it's all about love, right?
Always take life with lightness, and do not be worried to be taken as shallow, because lightness is not being shallow, but it's the ability to drop any heavy thought or heavy rock from your heart. And then you will fly above things and look at the beauty from above.
People, stories, social issues, environment, sports, arts and culture, life, urban issues, innovation. This is the El Air Uncut.
Welcome to Limassol Ambassadors, the new podcast series of El Air Uncut channel. What is our topic? Our topic is diversity. Diversity as a strength for the future of Limassol, our Limassol. Diversity and its positives. That is exactly the perspective that we have chosen here. We want to bring suggestions for better governance. We want policymakers to know about what is really happening, and we want them to be fast and agile and offer new tools for diversity to remain positive and not turn into a negative area. So our podcast goal is very simple. We want to help all Limassolians to connect with each other. And honestly, for nearly 3 decades in Limassol myself, wow, I have witnessed quite a lot of different waves. I have witnessed, the first one was British people that were in the bases, and then they start talking about how great it was here to their families and friends. And that's it. After that, we start seeing British buying properties and moving over here. After that, we saw Lebanese running away from the civil war right next door. Then Germans finding that the offshore regulations here were really great. So we had a lot of companies opening up here. And then after that, we had Russians, Israelis. Everybody was looking for a safe place for them, their families, and their investments, obviously. And recently, we also had the Ukrainians coming over, unfortunately, again, because of war. So Limassol has one very important point in common in all these situations. Everybody welcomes all nationalities, well, including myself. That's why I've been here for so long. So today we're going to have here Andrea and Caterina with us because they are two of those positive elements, internationals that are in Limassol for some time. They're going to tell us their story. But the most important thing here is that all my guests, they are here at this podcast because they love Limassol and they want to contribute for a better future in Limassol. And this is not about self-promotion. I'm not going to start with a big bio because, by the way, your big bio, both of you, it will take me all the podcast. It's very impressive. So we're not going to start with that. We're going to start with you as people. Tell us, I will go gradually from one to the other. Tell us, how do you feel being in Limassol, living in Limassol? I'll start with the ladies, Caterina, just to give us the idea. How do you feel right now, an Italian living in Limassol?
I feel awesome. I feel already part of it. It's been not a long time, less than a year, but I connected straight away with the land itself. I just feel the land. I just feel the island. For some reason, I'm grateful every day of the beautiful, sea, the sky, the land itself. It's just the way I am. I feel the wave. It's a good vibe for me. And then the people. I'm a people person, and for me, just going out for a coffee. I'm a coffee addicted, obviously, as an Italian. And so I was scouting around, for the best coffee in different areas. And, I felt, in every manner, like, yes, welcome. So, it feels great so far.
It feels great so far. It sounds wonderful. What about you, Andrea? In fact, it's because of you that Caterina is here, because it was you, the first one to think of Cyprus. You'll tell us the story later on, why. Yep. But tell us, how do you feel? How does it feel for you to be a Limassolian right now?
Yes. So, well, after my wife, I always sound grumpy in comparison because she's the grateful one, waking up every day and feeling blessed. But myself as well, I've been here 1 year longer than her. And I must say that the word that comes to my mind is coziness. So Limassol, despite being a big city and a multicultural city, as we are underlying now, it feels very, very cozy. So it's easy to immediately have this sense of familiarity with Limassol and places, but mostly how easy it is to meet and connect with people.
People. So you say people and Caterina said people. So people. This is what is the big promoter of Limassol, from what I understand from your case and many other cases I have spoken to before. So what about your initiatives to connect with those people? What was your, let's say, your strategy? What sort of ideas can you share with us?
Yes. So, well, everything for us in general, for me initially, changed when I decided to invest long term here. And we talk about it. Caterina was still in Australia, more of that later, but we decided to buy a house because obviously it was a really good investment. And I started to, search for help because I knew nothing about real estate investment here, and this is a house for us where we live, and so it's emotionally very important. First house we always rented, and we live like people moving from one place to another constantly because of our jobs, and so this was very important for us. And everything changed because the person that I spoke with and they helped me to find the house didn't care about just the house and the transactional value of the house, but it really showed me how it was important for him to promote this structure, this layer of people that help each other and they try to make you feel that you have nothing to worry about, that there is a solution, there is a helping hand ready if you need advice, if you need direction, if you don't know what to do, because that could be obviously scary for someone that moves abroad, and even if everybody speaks English, it's not the first language here. So Chris was really a turning point, because I started to feel more relaxed. I started to feel that, I could make big changes in my life, knowing that there was someone that I could ask advice, and that was kind of a cascade effect. Every people that he introduced me had the same warm feeling. I had the same warm feeling also because they really wanted to not let him down. And because I was introduced by him, everybody was very, very caring and very, very warm. But then after I understood that it's a general feeling of the Limassolian population, they I think they deep down know that, this diversity, it's a added value, not just monetary, but in terms of curiosity and ability to understand different people. And that's very interesting.
Very interesting story indeed. So basically there we are talking about not just people, but the trust that is built through all these connections you have with those people, and also the belonging to a community,
Yes.
which is very, very strong in Cyprus, all over Cyprus, but now in terms of Limassol, it's also very strong in a city like Limassol, even though people might think that it's only in the villages, small places. No, I agree with you, definitely. We see that sort of community belonging very strong in the middle of the center of the city, not just up in the mountains. So this means that you had to be very often in situations where people were talking Greek around you, right?
Yes.
So what did you do about the language? Did you learn a few words? Can you share with us? I love to listen to different accents, so please just don't be shy. Just say whatever you like to use when you show your skills in Greek.
So first, I want to say, people, it's surprisingly how well people speak English as a general level, because a small island, of course, English influence, and people studying abroad, but I didn't expect this broad level of English. Then there is a distinction to make. The effort that they make to always speak English when there is an English speaking person in the group is from 1 to 10 when everybody's sober. It goes to 0 when there is a couple of glasses of wine. I've been in a situation where they try, and then one glass can be in second glass, and then it's all Greek. That led me to
and it's all Greek to you as well.
Yes. But that led me to absorb. I didn't study yet any Greek formally, but it led me to absorb some nuances of some word. For example, daxi. Very easy, very overused, but it's very funny how it changes. So it could be like daxi, with the A on front, that it gives you the glimpse of like, yeah, I know, let's move on. Or daxi, like, yeah, you're right, I didn't understand. Or hey, daxi, like, I know. It's fun.
Done.
So
You
all
have
these
really learned all the
different.
nuances.
And then the king, of course, of siga.
Siga, of course.
It's more a lifestyle.
It comes with the weather, right? I mean, it's too hot, so siga.
It's more a lifestyle than a word of language. So it's funny, but it's funny the way they people here, they actually are cheerful and make fun of themselves about this way of approaching life. So self-awareness is always wise.
Very interesting. What about Caterina? What sort of words have you heard? Have you heard
Well,
that you felt I have to learn this one?
Well, it's quite funny the approach that I had to the language because I studied 5 years ancient Greek along with Latin in when I was 14, like in high school. So every single day I was carrying on like a Greek vocabulary, very heavy, like maybe 5 or 6 kilos, and I was translating like old ancient, obviously Greek, into Italian or into Latin and vice versa. So for 5 years of my life, from 14 to 19, the Greek was part of my language, obviously not speaking, but, the alphabet, the structure of the phrase or the grammar is there. So it was funny because I thought, okay, I know, okay, I'm in Cyprus, I know the language. So billboards, yes, I can speak, I can read it, so of course I can speak, I can understand. Not at all. Obviously, right? It's like 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. And, yes, of course, the alphabet is there. And sometimes I catch it, when I see some writing like, yes, I know this, da. But then, no, so the only, word that I love is like Sagapo.
It's a
like
very
Sagapo.
important one. Okay. Well, it's all about love, right? It's love
Yeah.
for the culture, love for the language, love for the people. Okay. Now, I would like to ask you something that usually, whenever we travel, we always kind of have a spot in a city or a place that we like that is our favorite. So,
Sure.
since you are already very integrated from what I hear. What about giving us your favorite spot in Limassol? Could you point us out in the map
Course.
and tell us
Yes, I'll
what
be
is your
happy to
favorite
do
spot and
that.
why?
Because I like swimming. And so I really love, swimming like back and forth in the Ladies Mile. So
Ladies Mile. So
Yes,
this is your favorite
I'll
spot.
point it out around here.
Okay.
Should be. Yes.
And in Ladies Mile, what do you usually do? It's your like morning swim, weekend swim, just for a walk? What is
Weekends normally, but also like weekdays. So weekdays I go just there and I start swimming. Then I go for a coffee in one of those beautiful cafes. I lay down. I read. I love reading. So it's just my time. It's like an hour of my time again. Of taking in all the beauty around me and
Beautiful.
in the
So-
universe and in this city. And other spot I love the center again. Because probably my background. I love the Castello area. Around the city. I would say so.
All right,
Yeah.
very
So
good.
I really
So
love that. And all the little small tavernas and
Historical
things.
center.
Yes,
Very good.
definitely. So a medieval castle there. Yeah.
Lovely. What about Andrea?
So for me, I would pick for tourism, healthy, and like how beauty it is, the area around the walk. So I put it in between. Actually, I put it next to the signage. So the big walk that goes till the area of San Rafael Hotel and all the other hotel. It's amazing. The reason is, as I said, beautiful and very peaceful. But also, we travel a lot to Italy, and we overload with carbs. So when we're back, up and down, it's very useful.
10, 12,
it's a
15
mix.
kilometers, all the time.
It's a good mix of enjoying the view and at the same time look after
shedding
your
calories.
wellness.
Correct.
Very good, perfect. All right, now that we have already a few moments here to get to know you as an individual and what you like to do and how you live Limassol. What about your background now? Before we go into your professional, let's say, story, which is also very interesting, I would like to ask you if you have something that you could read for us in your language. And why do I do this? Because I believe that one of the characteristics of Limassol people, Limassolians, they have always been very open towards the world. And one of the things they do is to travel a lot. And okay, it's a port after all for centuries. So obviously that makes them always very interested in other nationalities and other people. But the languages, I see here a lot of influence in many different ways. And languages is it's very important to get to understand the other person. Who is the other person? In your case, Italian. Gosh, it's a beautiful language. So we would like just to listen to you reading to, I don't know, if you have either a book or a statement or something, just to listen to you speaking in your language. It's your turn now.
Okay.
And then just give us a summary of why you have chosen that and what did you say?
Yeah, so... All right, so... L'aspetto della saggezza non è cupo e tetro, non è pensieroso, è ilare e pieno di gioia. Il fine e il compimento della sapienza stanno nella giocosità felice. So this is... Thank you. It's very harmonious, yes, Italian language. This is from a book called Un uomo, a man, by Oriana Fallaci. Oriana Fallaci is one of the most famous Italian journalists in the world, and I love her for many reasons. And in this particular book, my mom gave it to me as a gift when I was in actually pre-high school. So I was, I think, 12, 13 years old. So I was very young, but she loved it for the message. And actually, it's about Alekos Panagoulis, the Greek hero, I would say. So for me was very important. The messages that he and she, gave it, into this book. And this phrase, it's important to me. I choose this one because I think we all need to remember, realize that wisdom has something to do with being joyful, with being cheerful, not gloomy and sad and overthinking. So we should always remember that when someone is wise, and anything related to be wise, it's just we should always be be smiling and cheerfully. That's my message. It doesn't need to be again like sad. Probably in our mind.
Very nice message, and definitely helping what's happening around us in the world. So thank you very much for your message. What about Andrea? What is your message?
Yes,
what is your choice?
Let me read it. Let me put my radio voice on. Prendete la vita con leggerezza, che leggerezza non è superficialità, ma planare sulle cose dall'alto, non avere macigni sul cuore. So this is Italo Calvino, which is a famous Italian writer. And it's important for me because it's paraphrasing. It says, always take life with lightness and do not be worried to be taken as shallow, because lightness is not being shallow, but it's the ability to drop any heavy thought or heavy rock from your heart, and then you will fly above things and look at the beauty from above. And
precious thought. Mm-hmm.
So again, it's kind of in line with my wife. But
you are definitely tuned in to one another. Very, very pleasant to see that. Well, I think that now that we are at the moment where we see how connected you are as a couple, we maybe should tell the story of how you came to Cyprus. And in fact, it was Andreas who got to hear about Cyprus, discovered Cyprus. He's going to tell us exactly the story. And Caterina, obviously, afterwards, as a family, as the partner, had her own path. She will also tell us her story, because it's also quite interesting and different. So, Andrea, how did you hear about Cyprus?
Okay, so we were living in Australia, and for 13 years. We moved from Italy together. We were really a fresh couple at that time, and a bit crazy, but we decided to change our life completely. In Australia, we did, all the normal leather, like starting from the bottom again, and we made it so Sydney was home for us, but it's really far from Europe, and at some point we started to feel the need to get closer and closer to our family in Italy, friends, but also my friend would say, by now you don't understand anything more about the great beauty of Europe. Every time that I would make a comment about what about this movie, shut up, you're Australian, you don't understand like the great beauty of, of Europe. So it's a silly thing, but I think there is this sense of longing for European at some point to go back to the culture. And so we were thinking about that. And then while working, I work in fintech, with my best friend, Italian as well, that I met in Australia. We had this opportunity to take over a business that was dormant here, and set up a proper office and operate from Cyprus across Europe. So we decided, why not? We already changed our life once. Let's make this leap, and let's get closer to home, and let's see how it is. So it was mostly a business decision, and it was a disrupting one. In fact, we've been separated for several months while she was wrapping up her business, and I was setting up things here. We didn't know too much about how it is to live in Cyprus, but because of my fintech background, I have already many people that I worked with in the past that are here, and I communicated through remote work or meetings online, etc. So I had the feeling about Cyprus people and people living in Limassol, also from abroad, but I didn't know too much about Limassol itself and Cyprus. So it was really a business decision to try and challenge yourself, because I was always an employee. I made a good career, but I wanted to try my own
to do
thing.
your own business.
Yes.
Right. So this means that all of us who have a family, when we take these decisions, it doesn't only apply and have an impact on our own lives, but also on the lives of the family. In this case, the family is Caterina. Now, Caterina was also, well, I'm not going to tell the story. Caterina, you tell us your story.
Well, my background is quite international, meaning I've been living abroad since I was 20. So I started in Chicago for many years, then back to Italy when I met Andrea, and then 13 years in Australia, and where, we become both citizens. So coming back here, okay, let's embrace it. I must say, and be honest, because I didn't feel like good initially, meaning I was full of doubts, not about Cyprus or Limassol in particular, obviously. I just, I was like, all right, I'm not too sure. I'm very established here. I'm a, fashion designer. So my background is in law, but then, I, kind of twisted and turned into, my passion was about,
you create your own brand, right?
That's right. So yes. And I had my shop in a beautiful, suburb of Sydney, quite, recognizable. So when I go to the downtown, in Sydney, or to the various cafe in different, areas of Sydney, I found, ladies with my bags, so I spot them, which is,
quite impressive.
Made me very, very proud of it. And my friends, now, obviously they were basic clients, and because again, I'm a people person, so I was, I'm very, very open. I was, counting on maybe, I don't know, just stay there, but then, this happened. And so I and as Andrea said, wrap up everything. And yes, it was disruptive. Yes, it was painful initially, but then again, soon after, I found again these people that were really like so welcoming. So yeah, they were
So basically, you show through your story that
Yeah.
you have not just an international background, but you also have the capability of adapting and very quickly reinvent not just your own business, but somehow also yourselves and yourselves
Yeah.
as a family, and be positive, right? So
Yes.
you straight away try to find a way of turning this disruption into something that could be very interesting. And from what I know now, you are very excited as well with ideas of expanding towards other parts of the
Oh,
world. So
absolutely.
tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So obviously, my business is online, but I'd love to, probably to see, more like, across the city, Cyprus probably, I would love to see like more like a creative space, maybe where, people like me, designers or artisans, more the craftsmanship that is there actually. Because when I go, for instance, in the center of Limassol, I can see people like doing, lacing up some shoes, some sandals, or like making some jewelry. I met this lady, she was literally making some jewelry, a bracelet that, for an Italian friend that came and visited me last year. And, people like, making a hat actually. So it's interesting to see probably
You've
how
been
it's going to
exploring.
evolve.
You've been
Yes.
exploring the city,
Oh yeah,
I
that's
see.
my way. That's my
Okay.
way. Always, I applied always this system, to every place to become very familiar, and I love to speak to people. I love to speak to local. I love to be introduced and introduce myself, and I'm very curious.
From the previous conversations we had, I remember you said once that when you were building your house, your priority was to find
Yeah,
local
local.
businesses so that you
Yeah.
could, most of the time, small
Yes.
local businesses where you could find everything you needed and
Definitely.
try to somehow from the beginning support and,
Yeah.
and contribute to the
Yes.
development of the local economy. I find that a very good practice to share
Yes.
with others, right? Tell us about it. I'm sure you must have met quite a few people
Oh, many people.
on the way.
Yeah, mostly men, but some women as well. So from
The developer itself.
well, the developer, firstly, obviously, Elena, she's became one of, my best friend here, probably. And I'm very extremely grateful, and, the architect that work with her, and other people. And then, yes, I just found, every single things that I needed for the house. It could be the blinds, it could be, again, the garden, the appliances, the alarm system, the drinking water, every single, thing that I needed. I wanted to make a research, ask people around and see, okay. And I wanted to meet, go to the showroom, meet the owner, and now we actually call each other. We have a kind of personal reports, because when I have like something or, not an issue, but something that I need extra, they're always so willing because they remember me, and, and it's actually
we're going
nice.
back to people there.
Yes,
where
definitely.
we started.
Definitely.
Okay, what about your story in this area, Andrea? I know that you also had a very interesting strategy from the beginning with your staff. At the moment, how many people do you employ in your businesses?
At the moment, locally, like they work in the office in Limassol, or we have 27 people.
27 people. So you created 27 jobs. Some of them, they had to come from abroad because there were very specific skill sets that you couldn't find here. But what about now? I know that you're trying to make it as mixed as possible.
Yeah,
Tell us what
actually, nobody came from abroad. They were already here.
Oh, they were already, okay.
Not born and raised in Cyprus or Limassol, but they are living in Cyprus for a while.
Okay.
Mostly language diversity. It was a requirement, so you would have someone that speak Spanish, and they come from either South America or Spain. They lived here. I think for me, the way we approach team building and creating, personal relationship at work is through trying to create an environment where people can have fun and be themselves. And in order to do that, we go out for dinner every month that allow us also to explore places and, see every time we go to a different restaurant or a different place. And then now and then, at least once every quarter, but sometimes more, we do company events like racing a go-kart or bowling, skating, all these type of things. And to go back to your point, majority of the people are actually local, not necessarily from Limassol. Some are living in Paphos and driving here. I found out, I knew actually already, that's why, work-wise, I did my research. I knew that here you have a certain type of skill set that's been developed thanks to the fintech ventaglio portfolio of company that works here. And although fintech is pretty new in the panorama of businesses, talking about 15 years, 20 years max, there are some jobs that are really, really, really specialized, and you can find it in probably Sydney, Limassol, and London, for example. And so this is a really good place to find high trained workforce.
Sorry, I really need to repeat this. You are putting Limassol in the same sort of level as Sydney and London.
For what concern...
How did we get here?
For what concern fintech, finance, and technology, yes. Yeah. I think it shows, very similar to Italian, the ability of understand where business can go and where the society needs to adapt and welcome certain type of skills, certain type of business, and adapt quickly. So in that sense, as I said, there is a strong parallel between Italians and Cypriot in understanding what could be beneficial in the medium-long run and try to accommodate. And that Limassol is a great example because, as I said, for people in my industry, it's very well known that here you find the people that you need for many positions that otherwise you wouldn't find in Milan, in Berlin. Yeah.
Not just interesting, but definitely very inspiring for all the people that are worried about the future of Limassol. I would say that from what you tell us there, the talent is, well, again, people, right? And education and training shows a very special character of Limassolians and Cypriots in general, which is adaptability, as you very well said. This means that Limassol could be one of the spots in Europe that could easily adapt in the future whenever we will have more changes, because change is the only certain thing we have for the future. Where would you see yourself contributing for this potential changes? So for the future of Limassol, how would you see you using all your international experience and now these very successful moves that you have done from Sydney to Limassol? What do you see yourself doing in the next 10 years?
So I'm a great advocate of learning, and clearly in the past 10 years, digital has been the new frontier. Now we are moving further with AI, augmented reality, and all these new technology that are coming in, not to talk about the elephant in the room that is cryptocurrency. But it's not about the currency, it's about the underlying technology, which is the blockchain technology. All of these needs to be, I believe, in the mind of not only people that wants to learn and move on as a career path or entrepreneurial path, but also for politicians and lawmaker, in order to create a welcoming environment where learning and progressing in this area become like kind of a given, like almost a second skin for certain type of employer and employee. So from my point of view personally, I try to always help employee and people that I work with, making them learn something that I don't know, but I am at least smart enough to understand that those information are important for the future of my company and for the people that I'm passing the information to. So even if I don't know something, I want people that work with me to be more knowledgeable about the big next things, of more knowledgeable than me. So my impact in that regard is to try to create an environment in my company, and as spread out as possible, where learning new skills and new concept is part of the normal working hours. It's not something that you do by yourself when you go home and you're tired and you can't do anything more because you have your family, etc., kids. Yeah. Yes. But during the work time, you have dedicated moment where you can learn. You can watch a course. You can ask the company, please, can I buy this course and can I follow it 1 hour per day or 2 hours per day? And I'm always keen to push the agenda of my business, but I think it should be every business in that direction, because it helps business-wide, but it helps a city like Limassol, as it did in the past with fintech, and then it spread out to well-being of people and the growth of the GDP of a country.
Well, I think we are very lucky to have you with us in Limassol then, because learning is definitely the only way for any city, any country to be able to handle what is coming.
Yes.
Right? I also would like to ask you, now that we are in this area, I also would like to ask you, what about the less positives of your experience? Because nothing is perfect, right? I mean, I am here trying to highlight the positives, and I'm a positive person, so I always do that first. But it's true that there are always areas that could be better. So what could you give us, okay, in very in a summarized way, what could you give us as suggestions for well, not us as only as citizens, but to the policymakers, to the government, to those who can really create new tools and new mechanisms? What could you give us as suggestions that you saw through your path? They were really needed and they are very urgent.
Okay, so this is obviously my personal opinion, so please no one that listen to this take any offense. When I arrive, and I always make this clear distinction in my mind, if I moved from Italy to Cyprus, so inside the European ecosystem already, I wouldn't find the initial struggle of setting up a business and going through the bureaucracy as stressful as I did coming from Sydney, Australia. In Australia, they set up a very modern approach where everything can be done from your PC. Every document is digitalized and could be encrypted in a way that equals a signature, a personal signature. While here you need to move around a lot between offices. And apparently, I've been told there was a huge push in digitalization of processes in bureaucracy in the past 2 years. So I haven't seen the prey, and I'm happy that we're moving in that direction. I think it's very, very important for a policymaker to understand that there are countries like Estonia, for example, they're moving very, very fast in the space of setting up business online fast and smooth, and create the ability for a business to start operation, and then you increase the number of documents that are requested, etc. But the ability for a business to start operating is kind of crucial. And the time span that you take between you set up the idea and you have your first customer, you can serve your first customer, it's crucial for a business sustainability. So that is something that needs to be taken in consideration. Be competitive in terms of how the new technology that already exists, but for many years now, can be implemented to create smoother process for personal lifestyle of people, like bureaucracy that regard the individuals, but mostly businesses.
Sorry, I'll just kind of wrap up that. I would say that digitalization of the public sector, and especially anything that has to do with attracting investors to any country, in this case, of course, we're talking about Cyprus and Limassol, but generally speaking, it should be top priority, not tomorrow, but today, to every government in Europe.
Correct.
What you just said there, it should already be in the program. Sometimes it's in the programs, but they don't really implement what is in the program. So let's hope that we're going to have a very positive development to talk about related to this.
Sometimes
in the future.
It's not a lack of intention or ill intention. It's a lack of knowledge. And that's where it's important to bring young people.
And technocracy. I mean, sometimes it's... Before I turn to Caterina, because I know that she also has very interesting suggestions. We already mentioned this before, so I had a preview of her ideas, which are very exciting. But before I go to Caterina, I would like you to tell us also, again briefly, what about the channel between businesses, banking, policy making. We had a conversation before about this, and I think it sounded like a very important suggestion for you to leave here on this podcast, if you don't mind.
Sure. This is a way broader discussion, of course, but as a business owner, I found discrepancy or detachment between the goal set by the Cyprus government, which are open to attract business and open to attract new technology or again fintech business, and the detachment is between the government and the banking system, which is obviously private, that is still very adverse to certain type of innovation. One of these is cryptocurrency, for example. And I totally understand what cryptocurrency brings on the table in terms of risk of AML, money laundering, etc. And we need to be super vigilant. But what I found out is while the government at this stage is opening the discussion, the banking system is not at the table. So it should be ideally a triangle discussion between businesses, lawmakers, the government, and then the financial system, the banking system. But the banking system, it seems, from my limited experience so far, is not really at the table yet, which make it not a conversation. And for a business, it's important to operate, to be able to trust the banking system of the region where you are operating. And it's not
very,
the case.
very valuable input, I would say. And as you said, this is another conversation we might have very soon. But for now, it was already a very good point to leave here, and hopefully some policymakers might get the echo of our suggestions here. So regarding Caterina and her ideas of contributing and having her own footprint in Limassol future. Tell us about your ideas regarding creativity, what you found that is missing, and your intentions of trying to do something about it.
What I have in mind is something that I've seen and experienced myself back in the US and also in Australia. So it's nothing really like completely new. It's something like that I love to see and replicate here, because it's beneficial not only to the city, probably to people they're gonna visit and see again the bit difference from what's there seeing in their own country, but also for locals, so they can attract from different cities, among Cyprus. It's kind of like a workshop, create, so kind of see designers, crafters, artisans, people that work with the hands. It could be like making pots, and knit, a jeweler, something that or like a painting, something that a person wouldn't have the chance to do it in maybe at home or in their small laboratory, but create like a hub, like a space, like a center. It could also be turned into sort of like an academy, because we can share the knowledge. But again, my background is international. Other people, they have different international background. We come from different country here, but we are all here, sharing this experience. And I would love to see products. I would love in making, but also the results, what has been found, the material, the raw material, and see the transformation. And again, having the opportunity to showcase and to just meet the maker, it just
meet the maker. That sounds really great.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically a creative hub,
Yeah.
where you would somehow put all the internationals together with locals and turn it into something completely unique, because that's what it is. Every city has a unique blend of different backgrounds, different nationalities, and in Limassol it's very, very, a big variety, let's put it that way. So that sounds like a lot of positive impact to me, and I think we are very lucky to have you both here. And I think it's also very interesting to see that. I mean, that's the reason why you are both here, is that in a couple, so just one family, we got two different sorts of inputs into the local community, each one in his own sector, and ready to start doing something new and to start collaboration with others. I think this is the best possible example of what diversity can bring to any city. And we all know that Limassol is just one among many, many cities in the world where we have to find ways of making diversity work and turn it into an engine rather than a problem. And from what I have seen from not just your example, but all the other examples, and they will come to this table gradually every week, is that the common ground is, as you said many times, people. Yes, so people have to connect, have to feel some sort of, a hand that is a trustworthy hand somewhere there. But it's also the mutual respect. I believe that if we have mutual respect for the differences, diversity can't go wrong. So thank you very, very much for your suggestions. Thank you for your time. I know it's difficult to get you out of your businesses, but I think it was very, very positive for all of us to listen to your examples and your stories and your suggestions. So I will keep seeing you around, being active, and also positive citizens of future of Limassol. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks to you, Paula.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
This is the El Air Uncut.